Well, hi again, guys. Welcome to the next section on the DENT station series. Couple of jobs on the go. The timetable, this way. New timetables, show you that in a second. Couple of projects on the go. Little wagon that I'm making up from scratch, so we'll go through that in a moment. And we'll do the midday to 1 PM timetable trains. About 7, I think, 7 or 8. Interesting as usual. Decent stuff over the S&C back in the 60s. So take it from there. So first we'll go through the timetable. This is the working timetable. Got through research on the internet and elsewhere. So we're working on this section now, the midday. Well, these are the trains that will be passing through in the next hour, fictional hour. Won't show you the numbers, keep you surprised. Now, I've converted this to make life a little bit more interesting. I've converted it to a card system. It's taken me quite a while to do it. So this is what it composes of. There's a couple of racks. This is the up rack and this is the down rack. We'll take the card out. So the first train in the morning, it passes DENT at 10 past midnight, so I won't be filming these. It's silly to film overnight trains, but it just keeps my interest going. So it tells me when the local, or what type of local is on the train, and when it will be available for use again, and from what direction. So we'll say we're up to the midday. So that was one of the last, the last train on the up line. It was the 11:28 with the 9F. So it will be passing DENT at 12:40. You'll see that shortly. And the downline traffic is far busier. Now that was the pickup freight, which took up quite a bit of filming the last time. So that's this board full now. Can't get no more on that board, so I've had to resort to just a stack of cards that I'll replace them as I need space, and I can reuse these locals from the beginning now. I can go back and say, well, this was available at 4 o'clock in the morning, so that's got another 6 hours ahead, so that can easily come back from Carlisle on a train soon. Now that's going to be the system. I've not perfected it yet, but that's the system. If I can get the card back in, sort that in a minute. So the other thing is the project that I'm working on. So some of you know I'm quite interested in unusual stock, stuff you can't get off the shelf. I just like to see something different every now and then. So this is a good reference source, a Chiona publication, and inside this I found this unusual wagon. So I've taken a copy of the pictures and I blew them up into an A4 page. And this is turn that over, a bit easier. So this is the start of it. It's an old, is it Dapol? I think it's a Dapol, is it? Yep, it's an old Dapple milk tanker for the chassis. A couple of bits of tube, and I've packed them with DAS putty to give it a bit of weight. Made the cradle in scratch built brass, and there is a little area for the footstep and the valves and everything to be fitted to. And I'm currently up to doing the little steps and handrail. All salvage bits of material from this, that and the other. And that's when it's finalised, that will be sitting on there. It just goes over halfway according to the photograph. That'll be sitting on there when it's settled in properly. And then there's a bit of pipe work. It's not so good a picture. Yes, there's a fair bit of pipe work and handrails and such like to simulate at this end. So that's the current project. One of several. The next project is a fairly lengthy one, and that is, quite happy with the 3-link coupling operation. So I've purchased a selection of various materials. So we've got the Brass Masters hooks, we've got Accura scale 3-link couplings made up, ready to fit. We've got Brass Masters 3-link chain, and we've got Smith's 3-link couplings which need assembling. So there's a good stock of stuff there. You may have noticed the hairbrush, and some of you have probably noticed I don't have enough hair to have a hairbrush, but I found that the little spikes on these flexible, and they're not far off, perhaps slightly thicker, but I can live with that. They're not far off the stanchions for the bogie bolsters. Obviously the ones at Hornby and Mainline and wherever fit, they're a little bit brittle, and they break and you lose them and whatever happens. So just chop one of these off, rough it up with a file, don't even need to paint it. It turns out a grey black colour. Drill the hole out slightly larger, 0.8 mil. Push it in with a pair of pliers, chop off the excess where it's got the knobbly bit at the top. Someone wants me. And as I say, very flexible, so it can take a knock. It will take a knock and spring back rather than snap. Okay, well, we'll get on with the timetable now. So the first train of the day will be just after midday. So welcome to the 12 midday to 1 PM timetable slot, and this is the card for the first section. So we have an A3 60041 on the Class 1 Express, Birmingham New Street to Glasgow. When it gets to Carlisle, the engine will be taken off and it will be due ready to come something back at 5:30. Well, as usual, there's some train sounds in the background just to give it a bit of ambience. Not quite in keeping with what's running, but better than nothing, I think. I won't show you the card every time, it might spoil the fun of knowing, not knowing what's coming through. course, Leeds Holbeck had an allocation of A3s in the early 60s for a few years. I was fortunate enough to see a few of them at Corker Hill, and I still remember the first one I saw there was quite a shock. 60092 Fairway, and I have a model of that in my collection. That will be running one of the timetable slots soon, I hope. And of course 60041 carried the name Salmon Trout. I still recall seeing that at St Margaret's Shed in Edinburgh back in the day. So the next train along is the 1205 stopper from Hellifield to Carlisle. It has a standard class 4 264 tank and a few milk tankers at the end. We dropped off at Appleby on the way. Train slowing for the station stop. DENT station platforms comfortably hold a 4-coach train, which is handy. Trying to get the train sounds to coincide with the train taken away, but not easy on the CD. Just heading into the gloom of Rise Hill Tunnel. The next train up passes DENT at 1209, and it is a steel train from Carlisle to Healy Mills. It has a class 40 at the head, or an English electric type 4. as I prefer to call them. D368. Same as my house number. Handy, isn't it? And all the bogie bolsters have 3-link couplings. They do look far better. And the next train is a cattle train, cattle empties actually, passes DENT around 7:15 midday and is headed for Carlisle Viaduct Yard. There's a K1 in charge, 62064. The K1s were fitted with electric lamps, so there was no need to have headlamps on it. I do try to remember to put headlamps on, tail lamps. Occasionally I forget, but they're all infallible, eh? So the next train is the 1007 X Hunslet that passes DENT at 12:30 and it's headed for Kingmoor. It's a mineral working. It has another XLNER type at the head. This time it's a J39 64838. Obviously not prototypical for DENT in the Midland Main Line, but above all locos are like LX, LMS, XLNER. So I bend the rules a little bit. This working is another down working. It's class 5 general goods. It's from Hunslet again to Kingmoor. It's being hauled by a crab called 2789. This general goods passes DENT around 12:45. If you notice, all the wagons on this, apart from the first couple, are all 3-link couplings. The improvements to the loops is phenomenal, so there's going to be a lot more done like this, and they run better as well. I have to say, this is an extremely difficult angle to film from. It's such a pity because all the detail of DENT station building is on this side, so you miss out on all the hard work I did. So the next train is actually an up train for a change. It's a class 5 general goods, due past DENT at 11:20, sorry, X1128 from Durham Hill, Carlisle, passes DENT at 12:40 and is headed for Sturton in Leeds. And today we have a 9F 92125 in charge. the penultimate service before 1 o'clock. It's the X925 from Glasgow heading to Sheffield, and it passes DENT around 12:46. Heading the Sheffield working is Royal Scot 46117, Welsh Guardsman, a Holbeck allocated local. So the last train for this hour is the X1150 from Skipton to Carlisle, and it stops here at 12:52. The service today is hauled by a Derby lightweight. It is booked for a DMU. And so this is it for this section of the timetable. That's us reached 1 PM. And the Derby lightweight heads into Rice Hill Tunnel, and we